What is up, everybody? Welcome back. New brand, new platform. You actually get to see our face at this point in time to the Air Raid podcast. Well, we're just going to jump right into it. Ethan, how are we doing? Welcome back. It's springtime. Football draft is coming up for the NFL. Spring football's going on. We got spring ball for college football, but what's going on with you, Ethan? How you been?
Been good, man. Excited to get back on here. I was actually thinking a couple weeks ago as my fiance brought up, "Hey, you guys ever going to do the podcast again?" And well, here we are. You touched on the spring football, Sean. Steezed. Seeing the DC Defenders last week. I was about the energy with the head coach, man. Telling the Birmingham Stallions head coach, "You told me I was a doormat, wouldn't shake his hand." I'm about that if you can back it up. The spring ball, we can kind of get into that. And then we got obviously the draft coming up here. It is in Green Bay, not far from here. Some of my coworkers are going, but they're in the free section outside with the riffraff. I don't know if I'm really down for going or not. We'll see. But yeah, excited to be back, boys.
Hell yeah. Adam, what about you?
Yeah, dude, I'm definitely excited to be back. I guess it'll be a lot of fun talking on here with you guys, especially about football. And Sean and I, we've talked about this before. I mean, our love for the game is kind of unmatched, and we're both in new places and new jobs, and our work environments aren't very. I don't got a lot of football fans, so like I was telling you, I'm talking to a guy. He's like, Peyton Manning, he had a great year last year for the Colts. I mean, it's like dudes like that at my workplace. So I think it's going to be good to get on here and with real ball knowers. I think it's going to be very exciting. But speaking
TJ,
of
who's your
spring
mama?
ball,
We're down.
yeah, speaking of spring football, we were supposed to go to the Showboats game. That was this past weekend, but the weather here has been absolutely crazy. So, and they decided to fucking. They're the worst team in existence. They have their quarterback's EJ Perry. He was at Boston College, and I think he might have been like a freshman commit at Ohio State or something like that years and years ago. But yeah, they're absolute dog water. Tickets are like $10 a game. They can't sell out half the stadium. So that's all I got for now.
God, dude, you need to hit that game. I know. Are the tickets pretty cheap to go to the showboats?
Yeah, when we were looking, the tickets for like I think were like $15. But when I was watching on TV, and there was like maybe 1,000 people there, so you could buy a $10 ticket and then just walk to the 50-yard line, sit front row.
Well, most of the teams I see, it's like you have about the same attendance as like a JV football game, so you'd have to assume that the tickets are like $10 just to get in. And
Yeah, well, apparently not the Defenders. Like I don't know if you saw the beer snake they had at that game.
mm,
Like they can put on a crowd. I guess they
well,
seem
it's
pretty good.
perfect. They play in a soccer stadium where it's smaller. They cater
Mm,
to the fan. I mean, some of them play, and I
yep.
mean, back when I my love for just mediocre to shitty teams, just absolute. I can't. If you're good, can't like you. I liked the Orlando Guardians when they were a thing, and they played at the Camping World Stadium. You think fucking 60,000 people are gonna show up to watch the Orlando Guardians? Like, I think that's where they set some of those teams up for failure. They need to play in smaller venues,
Yep.
but good, and that's perfect for DC. And also, I mean, fuck, look at the Defenders. Before this year, the Commanders were owned by an idiot. The Washington Wizards suck. The
Yep.
Nationals suck. Until this year, the Capitals are kind of mid. So, I mean, they really had nothing else at that point, and their football team was actually good. So, perfect stadium size, good football team. Why wouldn't you go?
St. Louis is another one. I think they're just excited to
Oh,
have football back.
they have nothing there besides the Cardinals. And I mean, come on, it's baseball.
Rodrigo Blankenship. That guy's a that guy. If you ever get a chance to watch his TikToks, like the dude just he builds Legos. He buys like WWE action figures. Like people are like, oh yeah, he deserves a second chance in the NFL. Like, he was fucking ass in the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
but no, funny ass dude. It's cool seeing guys from college like 4 or 5 years ago trying to get a second chance to get into the league.
Oh yeah,
Especially that dude that you respect.
or just thrive in the spring football league. Maybe that's where they're meant to be. Jordan Tamu, Luis Perez, guys like that. They can
PJ
just
Walker should have stayed in the UFL.
yeah,
Comes,
just
comes
Be a spring hero. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, they get paid like what is it, like $5,000 a week or something like that?
That's not
Not
bad at all. I
a
mean, you
not a
make
bad
about,
gig.
I think, what, 60 grand, I think, if you play the season, and then I think, what is it, like 100 or something like that if you make it all the way to the championship game. So it's like that, you do that, and then rest of the year you work like construction or something.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. What about you, Sean? What's up with you?
Well, just taking it in, reading all these big boards here. This is gonna be an interesting draft. Is the big thing I've been really focusing
Mm.
on. It's you know what? Let's hop into it because this is it. I think there's a lot of drama around this NFL draft.
We ain't messing around with the foreplay today, people. We're getting right in. We're
Yeah,
back.
I think
Mm.
that obviously let's just hop in here with the top five, the top 10 picks. This is interesting. So obviously, I think we can all agree number one's probably going to be Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans. That is kind of a sealed. I mean, until it didn't happen, but with Reggie Bush, where it was just kind of a sealed deal with the Houston Texans back in the day, he was going to Houston. They already were ready to go with him until behind closed doors. They already built a contract with Mario Williams. I think it's kind of the same deal here with Cam Ward that they're just going to take Cam Ward. I think they'd be dumb not to take him. I mean, there's really nothing. Not that I don't like Will Levis and his mayonnaise coffee, but I mean, you got to start somewhere, and you need it with a quarterback. So I don't
Well, let
know.
me ask you this. I mean, you guys know better than anybody Cam Ward in and out. Do you think he can turn that franchise around? He's got Calvin Ridley. Shit, who's their running back? Tony Pollard. So he's got a
Tyler
couple
Boyd, I think,
guys.
is still there.
Yeah. Do you think do you think he can kind of come in and do what Jaden Daniels did in Washington?
I'd be surprised if next year's rough, or I'd be surprised if it
Yeah.
was like Jay Downs, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was rough. I
Yeah, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think I mean it's the Tennessee Titans. Like even when they're good, they just can't get out of their own way. So that's where like I don't think that like I wouldn't be surprised if it's rough where they're still building. I mean they have Will Levis. I also wouldn't be surprised if they start Will Levis before Cam Ward and let Cam Ward take over halfway through the year because they still have Will Levis. But they're gonna need more than just Cam Ward. I mean defensively they still have nothing and for whatever reason they just love to just offload everybody. So that I don't know. I do know he's probably going to get drafted there. I don't think he'll turn it around like that, where he's going to come in and make an instant impact. The biggest impact Jaden Daniels would really he's not that Cam Ward isn't a dual threat, but he is not a dual threat like Jaden Daniels is. He's more of a drop back, sit in his rocking chair and just fire bombs at people. So I don't think that the I mean, having that dimension to his game would probably be helped in a team like Tennessee, and I just don't think he has that dimension. So yeah, I said I wouldn't be surprised if it's rough next year.
I would agree. They just, I don't know. Calvin Ridley doesn't seem like he's been the same. Watching the few Titans games that I did last year, it's Will Levis. You either get like there might be something there, or it's just completely horrible. There's no like middle of the ground. Like he can probably get it done. Their run game is pretty crap. I mean, it's another example like the Giants. It's like you let your best player go. I mean, Derrick Henry's gone, and I'm not one of those people that sits here and thinks Derrick Henry is falling off the whole time he was. I mean, his last year in Tennessee, he ran for over 1,000. I mean, there's just not enough there. They're gonna have to be patient. They can't, just mail it in right away because, well, oh my God, we're not going out and turning it around instantly. The thing that people I think seem to forget about with Washington, Dan Quinn's a good coach. They already had Terry McLaurin, who is Adam. You remember him from Ohio State.
Oh my God.
His whole time in the NFL, he's been probably right on the cusp of being probably a top five guy. It's just he's had horrible quarterbacks. It's and they had pieces on defense, not entirely, but there were some pieces there. With Tennessee, as Sean, like you said, there's nothing. So, and I'll just be the one to say it. He can't do his crap where he's standing there basically losing his stance with the ball, just standing there waiting. It's like he's going to get his head taken off, even in today's NFL. So, I don't know. Just patience would be the key there.
I would say really quick, another big move. If you haven't seen it, the Titans are switching to their baby blues as their home uniform, which I think is better. They still have like the worst uniforms in the league. I think they're so ugly. But now teams can wear their vintage uniforms, the throwback uniforms, 4 times a year. So hopefully we'll see. I think the Houston Oilers uniforms are sick. I think they're probably top 5 throwbacks. But it'll kind of be kind of nice to yeah, I'm sure you guys agree. I think their jerseys are probably some of the worst in the
Yeah,
league.
whatever they're doing like recently, it's like it's kind of like the Texans. I mean, yeah, the Texans were decently simple before, but I mean, I thought
Yeah,
they looked better than whatever the hell they were doing last year.
yeah,
But yeah, I think number one, I think we all agree that's probably going to be Cam Ward. I mean, that's a no brainer. I mean, if he slips to 2, that would be insane for the
I don't
Browns.
see. Well, Shadur's not the better quarterback. No,
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 I don't.
no,
Shadur's he's a product of what's around him. No, don't get me wrong. Miami was very talented, but the reason Miami was the way they were last year was because of Cam Ward. So, like, Shador was just a product of his environment.
We'll get into him. Don't you worry. But yeah, I
mm,
agree. I think Shadur Sanders. Not that he's not a bad talent, but the name on the back of his jersey helps a lot with his publicity and his where he's at in the football world, in my opinion. But I mean, with one going Cam Ward, 2, speaking of Shadur, that's your team, Adam. That's the Cleveland
it
Browns.
is.
So
It is.
depending on where you go, what website you look at, what draft board you want to go to, wide receiver, defensive back, edge rusher, quarterback. It depends on what it's kind of up in the air what they do. If they go quarterback, obviously it's probably going to be Shadur Sanders. They probably won't let Dion probably won't let his son play there. It'll be this big whole dramatic thing to unfold, and I just really hope if I'm the Browns, I'll just avoid all of that because then you waste that pick, and it's just going to be they'll draft him and he'll sit there for weeks while they try to trade him because they're going to I mean, you're going to draft him. You won't get that number 2 pick value back in return for what you trade. But one that I thought was all pretty unique that I liked was Abdul Carter out of Penn State. Abdul Carter, putting him on the other side of Miles Garrett, just re-signed Miles Garrett. That's huge. Miles Garrett said he wanted to
Yep.
stay there. I'm going to be honest, I was surprised. I thought he was going to be ready to hit free agency, go to a team that he contends with, and he was down to stay in Cleveland.
The thing with that, sorry to interrupt. I think you pay anybody the way he's getting paid. It's one of those things like I'd be willing to put up with it if you're giving me that kind of money. So
Yeah, so Adam, this is
Yep.
your team. So what
This
what
is.
which direction you think they should go here?
Well, we'll get into it more definitely when we go through our team's mock draft. I mean, I did some research today, but I think it's Abdul Carter. I don't buy into Travis Hunter. I don't think he's going to play both sides in the NFL. The NFL is a different game. I had this discussion with a guy at work the other day. Like I said, you put the 0-16 Lions against one of the championship Bama teams. The Lions are still going to win like 70-14. Like maybe if you get a Derrick Henry year, maybe it's a little bit closer. But you put Abdul Carter on the other side of Miles Garrett. Abdul Carter, 6'3", 250. Little lightweight. However, another player that's 6'4", 250, J.J. Watt. Or not J.J. Watt, T.J. Watt. So pretty similar in size. That's who, when I was doing my comps, I kind of compared him to T.J. Watt. Same size, same stature. However, Abdul he was hurt for the combine, so he didn't run a 440, or he didn't run his 40 time. But whenever he did his own private workouts, they clocked him at a 4.48, which is absolutely insane for someone weighing 250 pounds. You put that in reference, TJ Watt ran a 4.69. So you're picking up 0.2 seconds on a guy that's the same weight, same size, and he's got 4.4 speed. I think if his ceiling is even someone like, Brian Burns, I don't know, maybe a little bit worse, Max Crosby, you're going to be unstoppable. You look back to the Super Bowl, what the Eagles did to the Chiefs. I mean, if you double Miles, all right, well, you can't, you know, double Abdul. So you're going to have to pick and choose your battles. And that's going to create some pretty good one-on-ones for us. And the guy he was an AP All-American, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. And then I think he led the FBS with tackles for loss. I think it was like 23 or 24, which is just insane. Yeah, I don't like going Travis Hunter here. I know Mel Kiper. I mean, Mel Kiper doesn't know fucking shit, but Mel Kiper loves Travis Hunter going it too. I think at best, and your guy said it the best, your favorite, Sean, Joel Klatt. At best, Travis Hunter is going to be your wide receiver 3. He's going to play mostly corner, and he's going to come in on maybe 50% of the wide receiver snaps. And that's not winning. We got Jerry Jeudy. We got Cedric Tillman, who's had a couple big games last year towards the end, so on the rise as a receiver. And I'll talk about another receiver I got us picking up in the second round. But we got Denzel Ward. We got Greg Newsome. I don't like going Travis Hunter here. I don't buy into his hype. Sure, he won the Heisman. He was playing against plumbers and electricians at Colorado. All right, these are the worst of the worst DBs that he's playing against as a wide receiver. So don't like Travis Hunter here. I really hope they go Abdul Carter.
Yeah, I think that there was something I was when I was looking into Travis Hunter, I would agree he's a better wide receiver than he is a defensive back. His most
Mm.
dangerous plays in college were when the ball was in his hands. He probably has the best hands out of the wide receiver group that's coming out. So I don't know why he like this whole like I want to play both ways. Like, dude, just give it up. Just stop. It you won the
Gain
Heisman, you
about
did your
25
thing.
pounds and then you can do it.
Like, it's okay. Like, I get it, bro. You want to be like the first ever. Like, it's like this whole like weird personality thing. Like, he started watch. It's like the people who watch Letterkenny, bro. They like all of a sudden turn Canadian after they start watching Letterkenny. It's the same thing. It's like, dude, drop it. You're gonna be playing professional football no matter what. You're better wide receiver. And also, he's like, oh, I'm gonna play one way. I'm like, okay, yeah. And when a coach says no, you're not. What are you gonna do? Hold out? All right, fine. Then I guess you're not going to be on this team much longer. Because also you got to think about the wear and tear. He got, he could, like, when he got hurt against Colorado State, not that that was, sure, it was a cheap shot, but also now you're going to be getting hit like that all the time. And I just go back to what Ray Lewis said. This is the best line I think it ever, and I think it seals the deal on anything, is in college on a week to week basis, you play at max maybe 4 people a week that are NFL players. When you're in the NFL, you play 11 NFL players every week. So, because I mean, like you said, in the Big 12 where there's no defense and your
Yeah.
best team is Arizona State, and all they did was turn around and hand off to Cam Scadaboo, and you couldn't even win that conference, and you lost to Kansas at Arrowhead Stadium, like a game that would have sent you to the Big 12 championship. So I think if Travis Hunter goes somewhere, if Cleveland drafted him, he would have to be on the offensive side of the ball. I think that's where he'd be the best.
Yeah.
That's where his skill set would be the best. So,
Yeah.
but I
Well, and
agree
then
with you. Go ahead,
yeah,
man.
he had his pro day today, and he didn't even run a 40. I'm like, what? What's the point of having a fucking pro day if you're not even going to run a 40? I hate when players do this. Shador and Cam both did it at the combine. Why am I having a pro day if you're not going to at least run a 40? I don't know what he runs. I would say he's probably 4.4. I don't think he's 4.3 speed, but we'll never know. Is that something that he doesn't want people to know? Does he, don't want people to know that he can't run a 4.3? I don't know.
Don't worry, that's part of my air it out segment coming
Oh,
up.
yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
But I too, yeah, I agree. I think Abdul Carter would be an insane pick. Having him paired with Miles Garrett, learning from Miles Garrett, and bolstering that defense. So, yes, I do enjoy the new fancy West Coast offense where you just air it out, the old head's mind. But also, if you look at all the teams that have won Super Bowls, you said it yourself with the Eagles. Look at their defense. If you
Yep.
can't, I mean, there's an old saying that I always heard was offense wins games, defense wins championships. If you can't
Yep.
stop a nosebleed, then how are you going to win when the time comes? And I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes was rolling out on his back the entire game because of the Eagles' defense.
Yep.
So, I mean, and look at even the Broncos. The no fly zone was insane. The Legion of Boom, like all these teams that had the Iron Curtain way back in the day. Thank God the Purple
Steel
People
Curtain.
Eaters never once won because I don't like Minnesota. But I mean, they had an insane defense and got themselves there. So I think if you do that, you're starting to put yourself in position to rebuild. Because offensively, dude, if Jerry Judy plays like he did every week, like he
Dude,
did against Denver, oh my God. Oh
dude,
my
it would
God.
it would it would be. And people forget this. The Browns were in the playoffs 2 years ago with Joe
Yes.
Flacco. So you
Hmm.
have Jerry Judy, you have Cedric Tillman, who he had a couple big games last year, and surprisingly enough, Jerome Ford, the running back, he averaged 5.6 yards a carry last year,
Hmm.
behind a very injured offensive line. So yeah, I don't think we're full rebuild. I personally, as much as I hate to say it, I think we should have traded Miles away. I think the amount of draft capital you could have gotten for Miles Garrett would have been just at least 3 first rounders in a player, or 2 first rounders in a player. Like if you went to the Eagles,
Hmm.
there's 2 first rounders and maybe a guy like Devontae Smith. I think would have been a great trade. But
Something
here we
we
are.
may never know though too. They could have offered it up, but nobody probably wanted to give up
I
that kind of
mean,
capital either. It's something we may never know.
yeah.
But
Well, the Browns are doomed with Jimmy Haslam as owner. He can't decide if he wants to own the Browns or own the Bucks. And now you saw what he said a couple of days ago about how it was a terrible decision to bring Deshaun Watson in. Yeah, I could have fucking told you that, buddy. Like that guy, I
the
can't stand.
positives of it, Jerry Jeudy shows he can play receiver. It's something that Sean and I've kind of felt for the whole time.
Get him
So,
a get him a competent quarterback.
Well, the
well, not
As
even that.
as,
Someone
as
just
much
throwing
as
the ball.
as
In
much as
Denver,
the thing with Jerry
in Denver, he
Judy
never got
is
the ball thrown at him.
the thing with Jerry Judy is he's a vertical threat. I mean, if you put him in a vertical position, throwing the ball downfield, he's going to be good. What did he do against? He had what, like 250 yards, just
he had a
cooking.
crazy game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude. Speaking of electricians and plumbers, they like went to the frickin' accounting office for Denver and pulled the first guy they saw out and suited him up that week because Riley Moss was out. And they're like, "Hey, dude, by the way, you're guarding Jerry Judy," and he just ran by him all game. So I think but yeah, I think overall that number two slot, Abdul Carter's gonna that would be an insane pick for him. If you do draft Travis Hunter, throw him on the offensive side, and if you draft Shadur Sanders,
that's who I don't want.
please, you better hope that Deion Sanders lets him play there, because otherwise you just wasted a pick. And I think that's where we'll get into Shadur Sanders and what's going on with him here in a bit, or surprise everybody in my closet decent quarterback, maybe take Jackson Dart at 2 and shock the world.
My God, that's way too high. Some people have him going in the top 10, which I think is
I
crazy.
don't know, man. I think he's gonna be. I think if you get him, it might be a bit of a steal. I don't mind Jackson Dart. I think he's a decent quarterback. I think he play. I mean, he has the numbers. What can you go off with the draft numbers? He's got the numbers. So
He does. I think he had his. I think deep throw percentage completion rate was like the highest among all active quarterbacks
yep.
in college this past year. So
The only thing I worry about with him, and we can get into this a little later, he put up great numbers against mediocre teams, but SEC play, he was like not that great.
I did see
So,
that. Yeah, he was bad against SEC play.
but anyway,
All right, at number 3, we got the New York Giants. So there's a couple ways the Giants are gonna go here. I've seen different ones. Shadur Sanders in his bowl game where he showed up and shit the bed, busted out the New York Giants cleats. Um, Defensive tackle, I've seen Travis Hunter going here as well. I've seen more Travis Hunter going to the Giants, which honestly, I think if you're the New York Giants and you draft Travis Hunter, that's not terrible. You still need it. The thing with the Giants is they need a lot. Whereas we're just speaking about the Browns. Yeah, the Browns were a playoff team 2 years ago, and last year I think
Mm,
we're the biggest surprise that they were poopy. I
yeah,
think I so they're probably the best top 5 pick I've seen as a team, the Browns. The Giants, on the other hand, like you would expect the Giants to be drafting it too because of how much they just don't have. So Travis Hunter, I don't think would be a terrible pick. They do need some more depth at wide receiver. If he chooses to play defensive back, they need to start bolstering their defense. Quarterback wise, if they go with Shadur Sanders, they do need a quarterback because Daniel Jones is not it. They did sign Russell
good
Wilson and
thing Daniel
Jameis
Jones isn't there
Winston,
no
so
more.
that would be an interesting quarterback situation. And also, I don't think Dion would let him go there. Also, I think his personality would be huge for. I mean, like Jameis Winston's the type of guy. where it's just like, you know what, man, I'm just happy to be here. Can we just go play football? Like, I'll show up and play for just free Gatorade or free water. I don't care. I just want to throw the football around and then like have a huge smile on his face. Russell Wilson is just weird. Being a Broncos fan, we know that firsthand. And then you would have Shadur Sanders. So I don't think I think they just kind of wrote themselves into not drafting him with those two guys. Because also, what are you gonna like? Oh, they're gonna mentor and do all this for Shadur Sanders. Don't think Russell Wilson's really going to do much mentoring. I mean, he knows the game, but he's not like if you're going to go to mentor someone, you usually go to like it used to be Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or like you sit behind Tom Brady. That's why we thought Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be so great in San Francisco, but kind of fell flat on his face after losing the Super Bowl. Um, Jameis Winston isn't going to mentor you because it's Jameis Winston. I mean, good dude. He could teach you how to be an NFL player, but I mean, one game he's going to throw for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. And the next game he's going to throw for 400 yards and 5 interceptions. So it's like, what if you just, so I think they kind of wrote their way into drafting something else. Now, I do think if Travis Hunter's going to go, this is where he needs to go. That would be a decent cornerstone offensively or defensively, depending on what side he wants to, or both, because he wants to play both sides. I think the Giants would probably do that. He'd get hurt 3 games into the season. But this is where I would think Shadur Sanders lands is the New York Giants.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think there's a very good chance they take Shador, just because I think he would have a reason. I think Shador would want to be in, grant they're not in New York City, they're in New Jersey, however,
Huge
but
market.
you know,
Huge
market. That kind of, I mean, that screams Shador Sanders and Dion, right? So I know Patriots fans would be pretty happy if they took Shador. That way, Travis Hunter would fall right into their lap. But I don't know. I like it. Russell and Jameis, they're both on a 1-year deal. The only reason I think Jameis is on a 2. That's all right. I think the only reason they don't take Shador is if they, I mean, they would have to know they're going to suck ass next year and that they're going to get a top pick and get, Manning next year in the draft or one of there's supposed to be a lot of good quarterbacks coming out next year. So, but the front office won't come out and say that. And we've had discussions before. No actual NFL players are going to be tanking. Coaches maybe from the front office pressure, but
Well,
I don't know. I think there's
the New York sports teams are kind of turning into like what I was scared the Broncos were kind of turning into, and what the Browns have been, and what like the Texans were with Billy O'Stooge, where they're like, oh, what's Saquon gonna do? Go off for 2,000 yards next year? And then he goes off for 2,000 yards. Now, granted, yeah, you don't know, because in New York, like he was kind of like when he signed with the Eagles, I was like, man, they're kind of getting a shell of what Saquon used to be, and then he went off. So again, he fit into the right system. He went to the right team. And then like the Jets, on the other hand, I think that just like that whole like sports football market of New York minus the Bills is just kind of like on cloud nine 90% of the time. Like the Jets are ran by a 15-year-old kid, and then the Giants, like they're just, I don't know. So I think that, yeah, if you're going to draft, this is where I would say, and I agree with you, there's a huge market for Travis Hunter, um, and his girlfriend's boyfriend. I think it'd be huge for them to grow their brand there. So that would be huge for him. And also my former side O team, the Giants. I mean, I think out of the most generic jerseys, those are the coolest ones. I don't know what it is. I always think that that's just the coolest. Their logo's dope. Like it's simple, but it's like cool. But yeah, I would say that's where he lands, would be New York, and it should be, because they do have a lot of options there at 3, but it's kind of where do like if I'm sitting there as the New York Giants and I'm on the clock, it's just kind of like, well, where do we begin? Because this whole team is ass from top to bottom. Like Kayvon Thibodeau had his 1 year, his rookie year when they went to the playoffs, then has just kind of disappeared since then. Daniel Jones had that like handful of games at the end of the year, and then that great game against Minnesota, and then he got paid out. Running back, wide receiver, defensive back, line, but like at every level on both sides of the ball, it's like, where do I begin here? Because there's just nothing here. Shit, they don't even have a fucking kicker. You could draft a kicker at 3, and I'd be like, I mean, it's a starter.
I would agree. I feel like, I don't know about Shador. I would say Travis Hunter would go here. The reason why I say no on Shador, because why would you bring in somebody like Russell Wilson, who is clearly not what they used to be, but he's still able to at least kind of be your Band-Aid for a year? It just shows, in my opinion, they don't like the quarterbacks this year.
Yeah, because why would you sign 2 veteran guys and then draft a guy?
Yeah.
Right.
I could see signing 1 veteran guy. Like if they would have brought Russell Wilson in or Jameis Winston in and then drafted him, but they brought in 2 guys just in case one guy poops down his leg. They got the fallback.
I'm guessing that, oh, what's his name? Their head coach,
Brian Daboll.
Brian Dable, he's like, I'm just going to go with what I know will work at quarterback and be safe because his job has to be on the line. He's one of those guys, like, how are you still there? How? I don't get it. How many years of just.
Well, it's kind of the same feeling as much as I hate to say it, because I'm a big, as you guys know, love Drew Lock. It's the same reason why Teddy Bridgewater started over Drew Lock. Teddy
That's what I
Bridgewater
was thinking.
wasn't, he's not going to win you any football games, but he will definitely not lose you one. He's going to he's going to make the safe option. Drew Lock was just going to, I mean, fucking coined the term. Drew Lock's got a horse cock. The dude's just going to throw the ball wherever he feels like he wants to throw the ball because that's his attitude. I like that. But, um,
Did not work for him last year with the Giants.
no, well, I mean, nothing worked for the Giants. Nothing at all. But yeah, I think that the Giants here, like I said, I think the safest pick would be Travis Hunter. Just, but again, where do you start? If they whatever they pick, I'm gonna be like, I could see that being a decent pick, just because they have absolutely nothing. Now, as you said though, Adam, the next pick, the Patriots. This is another team as we roll along here. So the Patriots, I've seen offensive linemen. I've seen quite a bit. What's that guy's name out of LSU? I just saw it. Uh,
Will
Campbell.
Campbell.
yes, that I've seen that guy big time. Big time. Ethan, I'll let you speak on him here in a sec. Uh, that's kind of what I've seen as offensive line with them. For whatever reason, they won't. I have yet to see anything about a quarterback there at that pick. I don't know if Shadur Sanders is available. I don't think they would take him. Again, it's another situation where like I don't. This is. I don't want to talk. We have a whole segment on you, Shadur. Don't worry. All publicity is good publicity, dude. Um, but like I don't think Dion would let him play there either. Because again, with the Patriots, whatever they pay, even like, yeah, you got Stephon Diggs, but even with what they're doing in free agency, whatever you pick, I'd be like, well, you had to start somewhere. But that's everything I'm seeing is this guy out of LSU. And Ethan, I'm sure, you being the former offensive lineman, you could probably speak on him. And I mean, if he's going in the top 5, he's got to be something.
Yeah, he's a left tackle. He's a multi-year starter. Watching him play, consistency is the big thing, especially on the blind side of your quarterback. On the outside like that, you're going to be going against all the big playmaking ends. It's not like guard where you're going to be inside. You can kind of hide it a little bit with double teams. Um, but no, he's very consistent. He's one, Sean, that I talked about. I would like to see him fall to Denver. Someone you don't need to start right away. You can be there, but I would start him over McGlinchey. That's just me. But anyway, uh, as good as he is, I don't think he'll fall. I could see him going there. They got their quarterback. Why am I drawing a blank on his name from North Carolina?
Drake May.
Drake May.
Yeah. Drake May is probably going to be the future in New England. I wasn't very high on him last year in the draft process, but watching him play last year, he's not terrible. I'll give him that. He's got it. Bringing in Stephon Diggs is kind of a way to like a peace offering. Like, hey, look, we're trying to help you. If Travis Hunter doesn't go to the Giants, he'll go here, 100%. Um, they're not going to take the receiver from Arizona this high. I don't think he's that good to begin with, and he came out saying he doesn't like to watch film. So your work ethic is already crap. That's what you're saying. And you don't want to put in effort to get better. That's not going to work. Little side note, you should watch what Shannon Sharp had to say about that. So anyway, yeah, Will Campbell or Travis Hunter, but kind of going off of what we've said already, I would say Will Campbell would be their pick. Um, he's one of those guys you consider to be your franchise left tackle, somebody that just doesn't leave. He's going to be there until he's like 38. So that's my 2 cents on him. Again, I like him. He's a big guy. You listen to him talk, he's definitely got that accent like he played at LSU. So, by the way, side note, Adam, the sandwich was pretty good.
It was. I might have to try it. That does sound pretty good.
What do you think about Tampa? Jesus, New England, Adam.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to what the Giants do, and if they do, I think if the Giants take Shador, then I think the Patriots would probably take Travis over Will Campbell. But I don't know. God, now I'm blanking on their freaking coach's name from Ohio State, Tennessee, Mike Vrabel.
Mhm.
He screams more of a I'm taking the tackle at 4 than versus a wide receiver cornerback. So who knows? I think if Shador goes at 3, they take Travis, and then if Travis goes to the Giants, then I think they'll probably take Will Campbell.
Well, again, this is another team. Like I said, it's kind of where do I start? They've been in rebuild mode since Tom Brady's left. I mean, yeah, you had your COVID year playoff run, but the COVID year was just kind of like a blip in the matrix, I think. Um, so other than that, they've just kind of been rebuilding. So yeah, 5 is the Jaguars. I've seen a lot of that Abdul Carter might fall here. I don't think so. I think that the Browns
No.
snag him at 2. Um, the Jaguars, I think, again, it's going to kind of be a where do you
Sorry, I just
begin?
got booted like a bad habit there, boys.
Um, I don't know what you, I don't know where you go begin again with the Jaguars. Like, you just kind of got to, honestly, you take what's available. They have a quarterback. I think that this is kind of the last year of Travis Hunter. Jesus, Trevor Lawrence. I think this is kind of his. All right, dude. It's either this year or we're drafting somebody next year or signing somebody or something. Trevor Lawrence really has kind of been underwhelming in the NFL, in my opinion. He just kind of like he's kind of like that super tall, like fuck off, fucking tall kid that just like runs around, is super athletic, lock in down there, and he um, that's what he looks like. He just kind of like runs around like, oh, I'm the fuck off tall kid, and I've just been bigger than everybody, and I'm just gonna throw the ball into the middle of the defense. So, I mean, here, if I'm Jacksonville, I start kind of building beyond Trevor Lawrence, and I start maybe even looking at a wide receiver here, or maybe even something on the defensive side of the ball to start bolstering the defense is where I would go. I would either go receiver or defensive back if I'm the Jaguars, because one, you're this year you're kind of helping out Trevor Lawrence, and if it doesn't work out, now you got something for beyond that life after Trevor Lawrence, if you will.
You do have Brian Thomas there. Again, I'm not a fan of the kid from Arizona, and this may be a hot take, but I could see Luther Burden from Missouri. He's kind of a smaller, athletic guy, but good hands, good route runner. And again, that'd be helping out your guy that you've wanted to be your franchise quarterback, the one they compared to being Andrew Luck. So
I
that's
think
kind of
they
my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I think they probably go Will Johnson here, cornerback out of Michigan. He's a big kid, 6'2", 200, lengthy. Um, I'm glad Ohio State, he was injured for the Ohio State game this past year, so we didn't get to see him. Best lockdown corner in the country. Um, if you can get a guy on the defense that's, like a Jalen Ramsey or something, a lockdown corner where you can eliminate a third, a half the field. I mean, that's monumental. I don't think any of the receivers are high enough on my mock draft to go that high. I actually don't have any going in the top 10. I think there's some good ones, but I don't think they're good enough to go top 10. But I think defense is probably going to be big for them. Travis Etienne needs to have a big year. He kind of had a down year last year. They got an okay offensive line, But yeah, I think you get the best corner in the country. And I know in the past, corners being drafted very high haven't panned out. I guess the exception is Sauce Gardner. But I mean, if you can get a guy that's, somewhat like Sauce Gardner, prime Jalen Ramsey, I mean, that's complete difference maker on your defense.
Yeah, that's why I was saying wide receiver, defensive back, and I completely agree with you. I think that'd be an awesome pick for him. Start locking up the defense a bit because also if you have a decent defense, it starts setting up the offense,
Yeah.
and that
You got
way,
Josh Allen.
yeah, and then it starts taking a little bit of that weight off of Trevor Lawrence, where
Yeah.
he's more of a game manager and not a guy that's going to create and absolutely take over a game. He just has to go out and play his game, and you could start winning games that way. But the next pick is the most. I think this one because I haven't seen anything after Jacksonville. The next pick is the Raiders. I've only seen one person going to Las Vegas, and that's Ashton Genty. Whatever, that's fine. I like Ashton Genty. I hate the Raiders, so I'll have to hate you, Ashton Genty. But again, this is
This was
another
I
team.
could see Shador going here.
So I don't know. I don't think is the only reason why was because it's Vegas. So that way, like the fans that travel down there or like the tourists that are there on a Sunday are like, oh, there's a Raiders game. Let's just go to it. And they just show up wearing like a generic t-shirt. Um, I was in Vegas 2 years ago and there was like this Raiders were playing at home on a Sunday and it was just dead. Like we went to Buffalo Wild Wings before we flew out and there was one person in there wearing a Raiders jersey, and it was just some random dude on his phone that wasn't paying attention who probably thought that Rich Gannon was the quarterback still. So, um, yeah, I think if Shedeur falls this far, he probably would go to Las Vegas. But I keep seeing Ashton Genty. Now, let's say Shedeur goes here. Um, I know Pete Carroll's watched him work out, him and Cam Ward at like their little personal workout days. Um, he is like kind of the same, not height, but like same like build as Russell Wilson coming out, just kind of like this frail little boy getting ready to come play pro football. And that's kind of how Russell Wilson was looked at when he came out. And no one thought he was going to be any good because he was 5'2", 100 pounds with some rocks in his pockets. And he came out and went to a Super Bowl in the second year. So if anything, I guess Pete Carroll can, because I mean, even look at the quarterbacks he had at USC: Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, John David Booty, Mark Sanchez, and then he recruited Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley, although not didn't really pan out in the NFL, was pretty decent at USC. So like just right there, you had two Heisman Trophy winners. You had a guy in Mark Sanchez who was a household name and a franchise quarterback for 2 years before the Jets lost their marbles. So um, I think that like, and then you get to the NFL, and all of a sudden, this just like I said, this kid essentially from Wisconsin who blew the Rose Bowl by spiking it with 1 second left comes in and goes off, wins a Super Bowl, and coins the term "Let Russ cook." It's Russell Wilson fooled the Broncos for 2 years there, so. I think if Shadur Sanders goes there, he would be developed decently well. And also, I think that the area, like I said, I mean, that's a huge market for him to go and be the man.
He wouldn't have to start right away either. Geno Smith is already there.
And yeah, he can sit and decently learn behind Geno. Now, the other side of that, they take Ashton Genty. I don't hate that pick either. Again, with the Raiders, it's kind of where do you start? I couldn't name, outside of Max Crosby, before they did any of this, going into the offseason, outside of Max Crosby, if they're like, name a Raiders player that's not Crosby, I would be like, dude, I don't know.
Amir Abdullah.
Yeah, like, dude, I don't know who's on that freaking team. They're terrible. Do I think they're
Max
going
Crosby and the tight ends. That's about it.
to, yeah, oh yeah, Brock Bowers is there. But
Mark Bowers, yeah.
do I think that the Raiders are going to be any good this year? No. It's the Raiders, man. Like they're even when they were loaded with John Gruden and he was being like a racist bigot, they still weren't good. They went to the playoffs and got spanked by the Texans. So, I mean, yeah, Derek Carr was hurt at that point, but you get past the Texans, they would eventually had to run into the Patriots, and that was Tom Brady's like height of like creating that second half of the dynasty. So I don't think they'll be any good regardless of what they take here. I think there's really no wrong answer again with this team. Whatever you draft, it's like you started somewhere. And I think Ashton Genty would be a solid pick. Shadur Sanders, now you have a quarterback for the future in your mind. So I don't know.
I don't know. I think they could go Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. Kid 6'3", 300, best D tackle in the draft. You
Mhm.
pair
Good
him
player.
with Christian Wilkins as your other tackle, and then you got Max Crosby
Mhm.
as your edge rusher. I mean, that's like damn near 3/4 of your line that's pretty much in, you can't get past it. So, and Jacoby Myers, he had a 1,000-yard year. Brock Bowers, if it wasn't for Jane Daniels, would have won Offensive Rookie of the Year, even with, fucking jumbo maxi pad, chin strap, Aiden O'Connell. Like, his receivers had it, yeah. And their running backs, I think, are like Zamir White and like Amir Abdullah. I think there are two running backs. So, but there's a lot of running backs this draft. They could probably go for one in the second round. That's maybe just not quite as good as Ashton Genty, but I think a little bit of indirection. I think Mason Graham would be a pretty good pick, especially Pete Carroll. The thing with Pete Carroll, the dude's 73 years old. I mean, if we want to be realistic here, he doesn't have 4 years to try and rebuild this team. No matter what he does in this draft, they're still going to be the fourth worst team in the AFC West, no matter what he does. I mean, that's just
Mhm.
it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that the thing, because now this is probably where we see Shadur Sanders going. The other thing with him is where here he could kind of be that, like, if you're sitting at the draft combine and you're like, if you're not planning on winning a Super Bowl in the next like 6 months, don't draft me. Or whatever he said, like some just outlandish crazy thing like that. Like you want to be a top pick, but you want to win a Super Bowl next year. Buddy, do you understand that like the top what 15, 16 picks didn't make the playoffs or whatever? No, it'd be what, like it's 8, so
For
22 somewhere like there those teams didn't even, no, it'd be 16. Yeah, so like what, 14?
yeah,
The top 14 picks didn't make 15 picks didn't make the playoffs, dude.
yeah,
So you're not going to the Eagles. You ain't going to the Chiefs. Shut up, dude. Lock in. You're gonna go to the freaking Raiders. Like, and then you're gonna sit there and get absolutely pounded by the Chiefs twice a year. You're gonna play in close games, and hopefully the Broncos pull it out. And then you're gonna lose to the Chargers twice a year because the Chargers are like regular season heroes. So,
They're confused.
and then that's where I think that ego and things like that kind of he can be like that. He can be that way if he goes to Vegas. Every other team, I think, they'd put their thumb on him and be like, "Look, man, this is our system. You have to do it our way," which isn't necessarily a bad thing on either side, right? Like if you do that, you're trying to fit a square shape. It's like my daughter when she plays with her toys, you got to put like the little square and like the little square hole. Shadur Sanders is like the circle, and he doesn't want to fit in that square hole, and he will refuse to fit in the square hole. I think in Vegas, he can kind of just be Shadur and be loud but also, I feel like Shadur Sanders would be like the type of guy. Let's say Geno Smith starts struggling, he'd be the dude on the sideline, like talking really loud for other people to hear about like how bad he's playing. He's like subtweeting in real life, but on the sideline. And I could see Shadur Sanders being that type of guy, and even in the room, like that. Because that's the other thing you got to know. If you're drafting Shadur Sanders, you're not just getting Shadur Sanders. You're getting
oh yeah,
everything that comes along with Shadur Sanders, meaning his dad, Shadur Sanders' attitude, his dad's attitude, this like whole persona of like we're the goats, we turned all this around. Like, buddy, I get it. You did great at Jacksonville State or Jackson State, excuse me, in the HBCU league, which is great. Like you turned that around, you put that football on the map. That's huge. And then you got to Colorado, and it was belt to behind the first year. You went to Oregon and realized I'm not in the HBCU league anymore. Holy crap, these guys are like OG. So, and even last year, I mean, you went to like Nebraska. It's like the two teams swapped. Nebraska pitter pattered out like the Panini on the end of the season, and Colorado ramped up. But you went into Lincoln, showed your whole ass, and was belt to behind. So in a game like that, you saw Shadur Sanders' attitude go from good to bad to worse. If you're on the Raiders and it's belt to behind against the Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium and it's negative 50 in the middle of January right before the playoffs, where are you going to be pissed because your team's only won 4 or 5 games? You're not going to the playoffs. You're going to come off the field and be like, "No, bro, like this ain't it, bro. Like I thought that we were here to win a Super Bowl, and you know who my dad is." Like, dude, shut up about your dad first and foremost. Because if you didn't, because like every time he says that, I'm like, bro, you're just buying into this whole like I'm only here because of the name on my jersey. Because this is the other thing that I think a lot of people got to take in consideration. If his last name was like Washington or Jones or whatever, would he even be in consideration for a first round pick?
No.
I mean, because this is the other thing too. Like his passing stats, Cam Ward called him out on it. Like, dude, your passing stats are so you throw the ball 50 times a game and they're all screen passes. Like
Yeah.
you got a completion percentage award because you threw the ball for screen passes and you threw 50 times a game. Like, of course, you're going to have a high completion percentage the more you throw the ball and the more you just dump the ball off. So, I don't know. I think if you take him, it's not a terrible pick, but you just have to understand you're getting Shadur Sanders and what you're also getting everything that comes with him. So, do I think he's a decent talent? Sure. Do I think like I said, Pete Carroll made Russell Wilson? Pete Carroll had all those great quarterbacks at USC. I think he would definitely mold Shadur Sanders into something that would be decent in the NFL. Do I think he'd be an elite quarterback in the NFL? No, but I think he'd be decent enough to get you to the playoffs, win a few games, maybe make a run to the championship weekend. But now you also have to realize everything that comes with that. And I also think the Raiders are like hemorrhaging money too. So if he's,
Yep.
when they need to re-sign him in 5 years, that he's going to be like, I want, like, no matter how well he's played, he's going to say, I know my worth, because that's what every player does. I'm either walking or you're paying me $250 million. That's like Shadur Sanders. You've averaged 20 touchdowns and 16 picks every year. You aren't worth $20 to us right now because we don't even have $20 to fill up the soda machine because we decided to move from Oakland, where we had a passionate fan base, to Vegas, and now we're hemorrhaging money. So sorry, we can't resign you. So that's the other thing they got to take into consideration. Where's their money going to go? Because you got to understand in that fifth year when his rookie deal ends, you know what he's going to want.
Patrick
Yep.
Mahomes type money.
Yeah, he's going to want big money. So
Yeah.
I don't know if, that's just. I wouldn't hate the pick that if it went there, but yeah.
I think things get super interesting if they don't take him. And you look at the rest, we'll get to talk about 7 through 10. Even with Geno, they signed Geno to extension. I think it was somewhere like 25 million a year for 2 years. Fields with the Jets, he's 2 years for 40 mil. Panthers aren't taking a quarterback. Saints, maybe. I think they're a 50-50. Bears aren't taking a quarterback. So if the Raiders don't pick him up here, I think there's a very good chance he could fall out of the top 10.
Which honestly, if I'm him, I wouldn't even worry. So this is the other thing too. Like
Hmm.
in the day of NIL, because back in the day, before NIL, well, there was still NIL, just before it was back when it was illegal.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
Being in the top 10 was huge because of the money. But like now, like if I'm thinking about, let's say Carson Beck goes off this year, he's making what is that, like 14 million or some crazy number in
Yeah.
NIL money just for what, 12 games, for sure 12 games, because he's gonna play 12 games in the regular season, hopefully.
If he's healthy.
You make 14 million or 10 million, we'll say 10, I think it's 10 in that time. Dude, I don't care where I'm getting drafted. I just made like 3 times what I would have made being even drafted in top 5. Because where Jane Daniels go again? He was top 5 last year, was he not?
Number 3.
Yeah, he was third
Yeah, because it
pick.
went.
Yeah, and
Yeah, Caleb Drake.
he was
Yep.
making like 7. And granted, that's like crazy money to like us normies, but like $780,000 a game check, and like that's what he was making, or like total over his rookie year, he only made like 700K. That in 12 games, freaking Carson Beck will make $10 million. Like, dude, like that's where it's like with Shedeur Sanders, you don't. It doesn't matter where you're going. If you're thinking
Yeah,
about the
and
money, you were the highest NIL athlete the last 2 years. Your money is fine, like I said, and your namesake has written your path with that side of the house. So I don't think like if I'm him, just I would just be happy to get my name called anywhere.
yeah. Well, I
So
mean, think about all the sponsorships he's going to get. I
oh
mean,
yeah.
I was listening to. I don't know if you guys saw LeBron. He was on the Pat McAfee show, which is like a crazy hour-long interview. If you haven't seen it, I recommend watching it. I think he said his first Nike deal he signed in 03, 04 was like 7 years, 100 million.
Mhm.
That's 20 years ago. So I mean, Shador is probably going to. I would imagine it's probably like a 5 year, 100 million. You know, a crazy Nike deal.
Mhm.
He's going to have all these sponsorships. I mean, yeah, NIL is crazy, and that's definitely a discussion for another day. But there's the number two. I don't know why. I just find women's basketball more entertaining than like men's college basketball. Like the number two girl that was supposed to come out for the draft this year, Notre Dame, she rejected going to the draft. She's entering the transfer portal. She can make like 10 times the amount of money that she can, these freaking WA. I think their base salary is like 80 some thousand a year or whatever.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. Those women are just absolutely insane, thinking they deserve the same portion of revenue and they deserve like royalties from the NBA to support their league. But
Dude, careful, we're gonna get canceled.
that's a whole nother
Yeah.
discussion for another day. And we could have a whole hour long discussion on NIL. But yeah, he'll be wherever he goes, he'll be
He'll
he'll
be
be
locked
fine
in. I mean,
financially. Yeah, he'll be good.
and these next picks here, 7 through 10 with it's the Jets, the Panthers, the Saints, and then at 10 it's the Bears. I mean, the Jets, like this is another team too, where like this is crazy, right? Like all these teams is just kind of like just draft someone, dude. You got
Yeah,
to start somewhere. Your team is like the Jets are ass. They like I don't know what Neosporin injecting like weed smoking like peyote inhaling. Aaron Rodgers went and got high. This dude let this head. He went and got just high as out of his gourd to go play for the Jets. Not to be like, and then have this like dramatic Hollywood unblurred vision of Devonte Adams walk out like they're gonna go on this epic run and win a Super Bowl and there's gonna be this 30 for 30 and that's how the 30 for 30 starts. Like this is how it started, bro. And then they proceed to win like one game together. And they ran that like stupid fake play and Devonte Adams got absolutely destroyed. So it's like the Jets, and you ran by a 15-year-old kid. I don't like him because his Madden rating is low. Dude, that is an alternate universe where I can go in and change people's ratings and I make the craziest people good. I mean, I have Michael Thomas never getting hurt in that game. So, buddy,
slant boy.
like, I think here again, this is another team. Like, the rest of these, even the Panthers at 8, whatever you take, because I see here, Jalen Walker, one of the linebackers out of Georgia. I think that'd be a decent pick. They need
That's who I got.
like they just
Yeah,
need something. The same thing with the Jets. They just need something. And the Jets here, they have them with Will Campbell. I don't think Will Campbell's falling that far. There's no way. Um,
I'll say this: that would make sense there, because if you want your quarterback situation to work, I'm not naming him because he needs to work out. Adam, I'm sorry if I'm offending you here. Uh, that would make sense because you need something, you need protection, but I don't see him falling anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's you're talking about the Jets at 7, right?
yeah.
Will
Yes,
Campbell. Yeah, I have him falling. Well, as I said, if everything aligns on mine, I think he could fall to 7, which could be a steal for the Jets. I think the Steelers pulled the plug on him too early. He was 4-2, and he wasn't putting up enough touchdowns, but he was doing what he needed to do to win the game. And that's all the Steelers need a quarterback to do. That's all they needed last year. You have an elite defense. You just need a game manager at quarterback that's not going to turn the football over. And that's what Justin Fields was doing. And then you disrupt the chemistry and put Russell Wilson in, and their team is just absolutely trash. But I think, yeah, if they can get Will Campbell at 7, and yeah, I think Jalen Walker probably falls at 8 to the Panthers ever since they let Brian Burns go. Saints probably hit their other rusher.
Mikael Williams.
Mikael Williams out of Georgia, and I think if the Bears can steal Ashton Genty at 10,
Yeah.
I think that's you want to talk about sleeper teams. I think legitimately, I think now probably the NFC North. I think that the AFC North and probably the NFC North are probably the two best divisions in all of football. You can also make a case for the AFC West, but you put, now one of the best offensive lines in the league with the Bears. You've got DJ Moore and an aging Keenan Allen. They probably get another wide receiver in a later round in the draft. Hopefully, Caleb Williams. I've listened to Joel Klatt talk about this exclusively because he knows a lot about Caleb Williams. A lot of his, I think, only like 5% of the snaps he took in college were under the gun. So hopefully Ben Johnson, I mean, he's a bit of quarterback guru. Hopefully he can kind of transform Caleb into what he should be. He had a couple decent games last year, but, I think he took like a ridiculous 40, 50 sacks last year. Their line was terrible. I thought DeAndre Swift was going to be good. Yeah, it was bad. The Bears have still yet to have a 4,000-yard passer in their franchise, but I think if you get Genty here, I mean that dude's an absolute beast. Yeah, I get it. He was playing, at Boise State. However, he's just an athletic freak. So I think that would really put them probably in contention with the Lions. I don't know what Minnesota's going to be this year with JJ McCarthy, and the Packers are always going to be like, fucking 11-6, 12-5 somehow, and then just shit their bed in the playoffs.
Well, it ain't fair. All right, fucking Green Bay. This is another team I fucking hate. Jordan Love goes to Denver, he would be cheeks. He goes to Green Bay, and he just goes. I'm like, what?
I don't understand how they're good. I don't get it.
Like,
they have fucking Christian
and
Walken
their
and
wide receiver, fucking Tyrone McSorley from Louisiana Tech is going off this week, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And if you were on Denver, if you went to my team, you would be terrible. You would be trash, and that's everybody saying all the Patriots fans had their day. They had their day. No, motherfucker, the fucking Packers fans, dude. They're like the Ohio State of the NFL, where they're just like consistently good. I wouldn't say like on the level of because Ohio State's pretty elite. Like Adam, you got yourself a team out there in Columbus.
This is true.
But if you go on like consistency, like the Packers, if you just look at it, they're just always just like they were what, third in the division last year, and they were 11-5 going. Or they finished what, 11-6.
They're like a consistent
they're
playoff team every year.
So
I don't get it.
Fuck Green Bay. But
it's always like, oh, they have the youngest roster in the league. Like,
it's gonna be a rebuilding year. I'm like, they ain't rebuilding what? They're always good.
I don't get it.
But I think the top 10 here. This is, every year it's like this with some of these teams where it's like no matter what you draft, it's not a bad pick because you have to start somewhere. Now, I wouldn't say this out of any of these top teams because I also have seen if Shadur goes they could go to New York to the Jets. If I'm Shadur Sanders, I don't want to go. You want to cry about going to a team? I would be like, if Dion was like, you're not playing for the Jets, I'd be like, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't want to play there either. They also
not a winnable division at all. Not a winnable division. You got Josh Allen.
Yeah.
You got the Patriots, who are probably going to be very good next year, and then
the Dolphins.
I mean, fucking brain in a bucket too down there. I don't know. Tyreek Hill once out. I don't know. The Dolphins are a team that if they're on TV, I can't watch them. I fucking they're like the most boring team to watch in the NFL. To his ass. I don't know where Tyreek's going to go. Maybe like I don't know, goes to Baltimore or I don't fucking know. I know he wants out. But that's I mean, if you're Shador, you want to go to a division you can win. Yeah. You're not winning the AFC West with the Raiders.
No, because
you're probably not going to win.
You got
if you go to the NFC East, you got the Super Bowl champs and the Commanders. You go to honestly, probably out of the top 10, the only place he could probably go win would be with the Saints.
Oh yeah.
I mean that's like realistically, you got teams that are like kind of middle of the road.
Well,
Panthers
every
suck.
year the division winners like 500 or below.
Yeah,
my side's so like Bucks.
That's the only division I could see him going and winning. You're sure not, yeah. None of these other teams are taking a quarterback that are possible winners in their divisions, like the AFC South or That's the only place I could see him going where he could actually win now. But I don't think that. I mean, the Saints, they've got Derek Carr, I think, for maybe 2 more years. big money, 30, 40 million a year. So I don't, and
Too
they're in
much.
salary cap
And
hell.
Spencer
I mean,
Rattler's there.
you talk about the fucking Browns salary cap. The Saints are horrific. But you wait till next year, Browns fans, when Deshaun Watson has 175 million dead cap space. You just fucking wait for that one, all right?
You know what? The Saints brought back Chase Young. There you go.
That is true. That's true. Garrett Wilson, I think, has had 3 concussions since being in the NFL. That guy's brain's in a fucking bucket. Alvin Kamara has yet to rush for over 1,000 yards in a season. I don't know.
You think of Olave, not Garrett Wilson?
Or sorry, Olave. Yeah, Olave. As much as I love him, and he was a great receiver at Ohio State, he cannot
It's
stay
there
healthy.
for him, but like you said, he keeps getting fucking hit in the head.
Yeah, they did re-sign Jawan Johnson to a big deal or a bigger deal. He's a pretty good tight end for them. But yeah, that's. Would you want to go play for the Saints? Probably not. Fucking
Kellen Moore's your coach, but you're taking over a terrible situation.
No help, no I don't even know if maybe Demario Davis is still on their defense, but he's kind of washed.
Davis.
I mean, they have just absolutely no one in New Orleans. They're years off from being an actual competitive team.
Well, with the top 10 pretty much covered here, we'll kind of start diving into our teams. Because both of our Adam, your team drafts in the top 10, but Ethan, our squad for once doesn't draft in the top 10. But Adam, we'll.
I don't know what to think, Sean. This is shades of 2011, 2012 to 2015 there time frame.
Where it's like, oh, these top
Whoever you take
prospects
is
are
fine.
not going to go to Denver. But Adam, I know you were on a heater there with Cleveland before we had to keep moving on. So we'll take the pin out of that and let you continue on with Cleveland. So what do you think Cleveland needs to do for your Browns to really keep? I don't want to say the momentum going because they lost it last year, but how to regain that momentum from 2 years ago?
Well, I think you do a couple of things. We talked about Abdul Carter going at number 2. Here's where you go, second round pick. I think it's 33, 34, or 32 maybe. I think he has the potential to fall this far. I know, Ethan, you probably don't want him to. He's kind of sounds like your guy. Luther Burden. I think if he falls to the second round, I think this is a no-brainer pick for the Browns. Dude, 6 foot, 200. Ran a 4.4 140. He's kind of Garrett Wilson-esque. You can put him in the slot. You slide Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman out wide. You put Luther Burden in the slot. He was a first-time All-SEC, led the team in receiving yards and touchdowns. Dude has 4.41 speed. That kind of seals out your receiving core. You make Jeudy your true wide receiver 1. You got Cedric Tillman out there who's just a 6'2", 6'3", length of receiver. You put this guy in the slot, and you give whatever quarterback some receivers some options to throw to, which leads me into the third round, pick 67. Our current quarterback, only one on the roster, Kenny Pickett. Kenny Two Gloves out of the Pittsburgh University. I think Bailey Zappi is still on our roster. Obviously, he's not going to he might be a third string. And, Jameson, Deshaun will probably stay on the roster for this year. I think round 3, pick 67, a guy that gets a lot of hate, and I don't think he deserves it. I think you go Jalen Milroe here. Jalen Milroe he's 6'2", 217. People are comping him to Cordell Stewart, the 2000s quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this past year, he had over 700 rushing yards, 20 rushing touchdowns. His passing wasn't the greatest. He was 16 touchdowns, 11 picks, 64% completion percentage. But he tested number 1 at the combine for the athletics among all quarterbacks. At his pro day, or whatever you want to call it, ran a 4.37 40, which is just insane for a dude that's 6'2", over 200 pounds. To run a sub 4.4 40. I think that's absolutely insane.
He might have ran himself into another position.
This is true. Lamar Jackson-esque. I think something also notable that I didn't know, he won the William V. Campbell Trophy Award, which is your top scholar athlete, which is kind of interesting. So, dude, pretty book smart. I know he's a project. He is very inaccurate. But you want to talk about Sean, your type of guy. Dude has a fucking cannon on him. I mean, the dude could just sling it 60, 70 yards downfield. So he definitely has to improve his accuracy and his decision making. He likes to throw off of 1 foot a lot, and he doesn't like to get set before he throws. So that's kind of where some of his interceptions came from, especially in SEC play. But say you run Kenny Pickett the first, 3-4 games, you go 2-2. All right, Jalen, you're good to go. Like, fuck it, Jerry Judy's down there somewhere. Just get it to him. I think if he'll fall down to the third round, which I think he probably will. I think there's quite a few quarterbacks that'll be taking over him. A lot of people like Tyler Show, the guy from Louisville. Going to him, the guy's like 28 years old. I don't love the pick. I don't think he's anything spectacular. So I think if you get a project guy like this to where not a lot of pressure on him, third round pick, he's raw. He's got a lot to work on. But you give him 4 or 6 games on the bench while he kind of, takes a seat back and maybe learns a couple things from – maybe he learns a little bit from Kenny Pickett. I think he could be a great quarterback in the NFL. I mean, you look at Josh Allen, right? Josh Allen coming out. Dude had an absolute piss missile on him. And his big problem was his inaccuracy and his interceptions. His first year, 2 years in the league, he was bad. He was really bad until he finally got it dialed in. And I think he could potentially get us there. And they have another pick to round up the third round. We lost. I always forget his name. He was the guy from the cornerback or safety, Grant Delpit. He's off the team, the safety. So I think they take this guy named Marquez Single from Kansas State. This guy ran a 4.37 40 at 6 foot 200. So safety is a little bit depleted on our roster. We got 2 good corners in Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward, who's a Pro Bowler and all that. So I think this guy's really good. He's got a 38-inch vert. Had 3 picks this year, 6 tackles. So he's the team captain. I think this would be a steal in the third round to close out our third round and even make the defense a little bit better. Last pick that I just did the first 4 rounds, picking a 104 in the 4th round. I love Jerome Ford. I think he's a decent running back. I think we probably need another guy to get in there. A lot of people like the guy out of UCF. I fucking love Cam Scatterbo. I fucking love the guy. One of my buddies at work is a huge Arizona State fan. And he can go on and on about this guy. 5'9", 219. His comp is James Conner. AP All-American, first team Big 12. Second in FBS this year with 1,700 yards, 2,300 total, and 21 rushing touchdowns, which was tied for 6 in the FBS. This guy definitely has a chip on his shoulder, built up a lot of momentum going into the playoffs. I think he's very undervalued for what he is as a running back, especially in that offense. Arizona State is a team where I didn't expect them to compete, especially in the playoffs. They almost went out and beat Texas this year, and it was all because of Cam Scatterbo. This guy really put the team on his back. They're building a good program over there at ASU. But, I mean, shit. I mean, can you fucking imagine? You get an electric running back in Cam Scatterbo. You get another great receiver, and then maybe, halfway into the season, Jalen Milroe comes on, and he just starts lighting it up. This offense could really start to transform. Probably need a tackle. This isn't a great draft outside the first couple tackles and an offensive lineman. So maybe, 5th round, pick up another tackle or 2. Really the issue was there were just so many injuries last year. DeJuan Johnson's coming in from Ohio State. But I don't know. I love Cam here. Hopefully he falls that far. I really thought he would. People in their mocks don't have this guy going until pick 120, which I think is crazy. I think his talent is – he does have some issues. He's had 10 fumbles over the past 3 years. He'll be good for about 30, 40 yards, and then the gas is just gone. So I think he could probably drop a little bit of weight. I don't think he needs to be quite at 220, maybe 210, 205. But I don't know. I think Cam would be a great pick here to boost up our offense even that much more.
Yeah, I think in the Browns too. I said it before. They're probably out of the top 10 here. They're probably the best 2 pick in this draft. I mean,
Yeah.
they're decently like I don't know what happened last year. I don't know what that was. I don't know why. Like it was one of those like shades of the 2011 Knicks where it's like, how do you suck? Like, how are you not going 80? How are you not going 60 or what? Yeah, what would it be 72-10? How are you losing to the
Yeah.
Heat? You have all these guys. Um, I think that even even that like late pick there when you said Jalen Milroe, I don't think that's terrible.
Yeah.
The only problem
Yeah.
with Jalen Milroe, you said, is like you said, was his throwing. He can't throw worth a shit. But
Yeah.
that's where getting him in there during OTAs, getting him in there during mini camp, getting him on the off season, learning the system, and then into training camp. If you get that shorn up, I mean, you got I mean, you have Lamar Jackson 2.0. You
Bigger and
know,
stronger.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the only thing I can see is where I don't know how long a leash he would have. Where he ran that 40, it was like, man, he probably just ran himself into another position. So hopefully, if the thing is, someone's gonna have to be really patient with him if they want him to be a quarterback. It's not gonna be a come in, all right, you were good in training camp, so hopefully you're good to go. It's gonna be he has to get through OTAs, he's got to get to mini camp, he has to go through training camp, maybe even this year, maybe halfway through next year. Like
Yeah.
it's going to be a process. With I mean, you said look at Josh Allen. The guy had an absolute cannon, still does, and it took him a few years to really get his feet under him to actually be like an NFL quarterback. So I don't hate that pick one bit. I think that'd be an awesome pick for him because worst case is let's say he's not ready for quarterback, throw him in there and throw the ball to him and let him run. Like
Okay.
like yo,
He's
hey,
got
you're still learning.
4.3 speed. Like,
Like he's just such a great athlete, and I know this. Ethan, you heard it too. Like on def, like if you play football, there's a couple things that's going to get you on the field. One, if you can hit, like if you can hit, you're playing. That's just there's no question. And number two, if you're an athlete, you're getting on the field. Depending on the coach, some of them like having them punt instead of utilizing their athletic skill. But um,
True story right there.
yeah, like this.
That's
But
for a different time.
if he's a pure athlete, like, hey man, you're gonna get in today, not as quarterback, but my friend, you can haul ass. So we're gonna throw you a couple bubble screens, not giving up on quarterback, but he's just too good of an athlete to not be on the field. So even that, like, and to me, if I'm Jalen Miller, like, sweet, whatever gets me on the NFL field, like, all right, I'll take off the ball cap, throw on the helmet, take a reverse from here and there, run a bubble screen or some trick play,
yeah.
like a double reverse and get me in the open space. Who knows, right? Put me on
Think,
kickoff
think,
return. I don't care. Like,
think about the end zone. You get down on the 2 yard line.
mhm.
Fuck yeah, I'm putting Jalen Milroe in.
Yeah, like
Dude had 20 rushing touchdowns this year.
yeah,
Like,
and that's
yeah.
the thing where it's like he gives that aspect to it. So that wouldn't be a terrible pick because you're not just drafting him. It wouldn't be like if you're drafting Shadur Sanders there, where it's like that guy is
Mm,
not going to be an athlete for you whatsoever. He's a pocket
yeah.
passer. Jalen Miller has a whole nother dimension that you can use. So even if
The thing
you're
with Melrose too is, I'm sorry to interrupt, Sean. I've heard through interviews and stuff like he's actually like a really like pleasant guy to be around. He's not like Shadur where you're like leaving the interview angry. Like, no, I feel like I could probably actually hang out and talk to this guy. Like that's the type of person I've heard he is. So I mean, Adam, I don't disagree with you. I think he's if you can get him, and Sean, you're right, you got to be patient. But the thing I think we're all aware of, and Adam, you know it better than both Sean and I, is Cleveland is not patient for whatever reason. Just keep plugging and playing. They think it's like in the business world where things just aren't working. So let's just keep going through the Rolodex.
Yeah. He's going to be like 2-2 in the preseason. Like, we got to fucking start this guy right away. But the other issue is he's had 4 meetings with the Steelers, and that's the most meetings that the Steelers have had with any quarterback coming up in this draft. So apparently Pittsburgh does like him a lot. So hopefully they don't take him as high as our second round pick, which is I think 30, 32 or 30, 33, 34. Hopefully they don't take him that high. But I know a lot of people also like Will Howard going in maybe late 3rd round, early 4th round, which I wouldn't be mad at. I loved him at Ohio State. Do I think he's a franchise quarterback? I don't know. To be
He looked
determined.
horrible at the combine. I'll say that about
Oh,
him.
he looked terrible. I mean, outside of Jackson Dart, I don't think anyone really looked that good. Even Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers looked like ass, which I don't like Quinn Ewers at all. I mean,
There
Sean,
was a
what do you do?
couple like guys that came from like smaller places, like Jaden Zeno from UAB looked good, but it's like
Yeah.
Jaden Zeno has no chance of being drafted anywhere. So
Yeah, I don't like quarterbacks that come for NIL $1 million a Ford Raptor and then leave. So fuck
Quinn
Quinn
Ewers,
Ewers.
dude.
Can't
anyway,
stand the fucking guy.
So Adam's got his kind of thoughts. I don't mind it. So you like Scadaboo over RJ Harvey?
Yep,
That's
that's
an
the guy. That's the
yeah.
guy. People like Harvey going at 104 to the rounds. There's something about Cam Scadaboo, and like I said, the guy at work he can go on and on about his work ethic and the work that this guy puts in. And I know they were clowning him because he was spotted like at a bar after the game. I'm like, the guy just fucking lost the playoff. What do you do? Like, you want him to go cry in his room? Like, he's in fucking, I don't even know where the game was at. Vegas, Arizona, whatever it was.
Atlanta.
Dallas, I think, maybe. Atlanta. Yep. I don't care if we win or lose. If we fucking lose, fuck it. Go out to the bar, have a drink, whatever. It was a cool experience to be there. Didn't expect Arizona State to be there in the playoff game, and they actually, almost beat Texas. But I don't know. That's what I think. I don't know. Do you think Luther Burden, Ethan is gonna fall that far at second round? I think he could. I just think there's a couple better receivers. Like I think Emeka Buka. I think the guy from Arizona. I think probably going maybe the top 20. Um, I don't know. You think he'll
So
fall out of the first round?
probably, if not, he'll be a late first rounder. I could see him going to the Chiefs. Um, Honestly, though, this is just me speaking. I think Jaden Higgins from Iowa State's the better wide receiver. That's just me personally. I'm not saying Burden's bad. It's just Burden's more of a offensive weapon. Whether
Mm.
like I look at Jaden Higgins, who's 6'4", 215, we can get into it here. My thought process, or Tyrone Broden from Arkansas, dude 6'7" and ran a 4.3. Like, come on now. So, no, I think he'll be an early second rounder at most. That's just my opinion. A lot of that'll just come back on people. It's the social media effect. That's just my 2 cents on it. It's the social media effect on why Travis Hunter won the Heisman and not Ashton Genty. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they haven't performed well and worked hard in the combine and everything, but I mean, we've seen it in years past with things like it's just the media effect on things. With that, I'm gonna carry us over. I'm gonna do a little quick on Washington here, since they're my side O, and then we can roll into Denver here. And I'm sure Sean will have some powerful words here for what he thinks the Broncos can do. And I've kind of given my little preview on what I'd like to see them do at receiver here. I like Jaden Higgins later. Dude's 6'4". Like I said, they need a big body receiver. And the dude at Iowa State, he was jump ball. But with Washington, I think it's just kind of one of those. I'd like to see him go defense, but they're kind of at the point in the draft where probably take best available. Jahad Campbell from Alabama would be nice. Their Mike linebacker that they had this last year. But I'll kind of carry that over into the Broncos picks here. I would like to see the Broncos take Campbell. They need a new middle linebacker. Sean, we know this. The dude's mean. He kind of reminds me of, old Alabama linebackers come downhill, hit. He can cover the pass. I don't think they should take Amari Hampton in the first round. Sean and I were talking. This was like a week or two ago. I didn't. I'm a pretty avid football fan. I like to follow football. I didn't know who Amari Hampton was. I'm being honest with you, and it's probably because North Carolina's crap. But he isn't somebody I knew who he was. If they're going to take a running back, this year's running back class is stacked. I like R.J. Harvey. I like Taj Brooks from Texas Tech. He's the all-time leading running back for Texas Tech history, from what I understand. Scadaboo wouldn't be terrible. Um, Damon Martinez wouldn't be bad. He's a big back. But no, I don't think running back is something they need first round. I would say Mike linebacker. I agree with Sean's view on this. Defense would be what they need. Um, I saw one mock draft. Will Campbell fell all the way there, and I'm like, that would be ideal. He probably wouldn't start right away, but it's like Garrett Bowles. You get one of three things with, and Sean can agree. He either one is going to be hurt, which is more than likely. Two, if he's playing, he's going to have some kind of penalty, jumping off sides, holding. doing something. Or three, you might get lucky and he'll play like, the really good left tackle that he can be. So, no, like I said, I think Jod Campbell, I'd like to see him get like an RJ Harvey or Taj Brooks, and then a Jaden Higgins later in the draft, or a Tyrone Broden, like a big body guy like that would be awesome. Sean, I'll let you kind of go in on this here.
Well, so looking at like some of these picks that like the Broncos are projected to get, Nick Umanwari, safety out of South Carolina. They need a safety. Yeah, you sign Hafunga in the offseason. You sign Dre Greenlaw. That's huge. That's big. That saves you on draft picks because it does start to have kind of that stopgap in some of those areas where, like last year with the defense, when the Broncos rolled in the season, they had the worst rated roster. Like I was like, there's no way. And then I like looked at the roster. I was like, who are these
Pretty bad.
dudes? Especially on defense. I was like, who are you? Um, so I don't think having drafting a safety wouldn't be terrible. I don't like running back. They do need one, sure. I'll bite on that. I'm down with it, but I just don't think in the first round, man. Like running
Later.
back in today's NFL, it's you don't need it in the first round. Like Ashton Genty, the reason why he's going to go in the first round is because the numbers he put up. Like if he was like every other running back that came out of Boise State, like he would be a second day guy. He just put up insane numbers, and people hope to be able to capitalize on that for a couple of years. Now is Ashton Genty going to fall to Denver? There's no way. And if he's there in the first round, that's going to be a hard decision for them to make. But I would still say, like, I just don't think that that's what you would really want to do. Let's say you draft Ashton Genty, and this is the other thing that I don't get. Like, oh, Broncos fans all the time. Oh, if they had a good running back. They had a good running back. How about up front where the play starts? Because how is the
Remember
running
when
back going to play if he's just getting swallowed up? Like, great, you got Ashton Genty, and then he's just getting swallowed up because that was honestly the biggest problem last year. They couldn't
how
run the
many years did we
ball.
hear they need a quarterback, and then they got Russell Wilson, and they were still bad?
Yeah, so I mean, it's like they couldn't run the ball because they had nothing up front. So I don't.
It didn't help the backs they had weren't great either, but that's neither there nor here.
Another pick I see here, which I mean, I wouldn't hate a tight end in the first round because also it's an extension of the offensive line. I think you do need someone that they got to be able to catch, but they also got to be able to block in that offense. Um, Colson Loveland out of Michigan. Now I looking at Colson Loveland in an offense that primarily runs, having just shy of 600 yards, 5 touchdowns, and it was like 70, almost close to 70 and 70 catches, something like that, 68. That's not bad. Not bad at all for an offense that primarily turns around and hands the ball off and couldn't decide what they wanted to do at quarterback. So I wouldn't hate that pick. I think tight end is something that they do need. Now, if you fall all the way, now Harold Fannin out of Bowling Green, I don't know about that. Out
The
of
Mac,
BG, out of the
baby.
MAC.
The dude can play
Best.
football.
Uh,
Yeah, dude's a baller.
I would say if you get him in the first round, you better play him. You better not have frickin' one of your buddies from New Orleans out there. Um, the problem, I think, what they're trying to like. This is the thing with Denver sports franchises. So they taste success for like a little bit, and then they just start just sell. They're like, oh, we gotta. They're like a drug addict, dude. They will sell everything just to get that high again. So that's where I'm worried. Where like the Broncos, are like, oh my god, we made the playoffs, holy shit, and then they just start like Madden picking people, and they're like, "That guy's good, let's get him," and then he's ass, and then offload him, and that's where I think in this first round you got to be careful and you got to be more strategic. You can't just be like, "Oh, Ashton Genty's available, that'd be fucking huge." We all know who Ashton Genty was, the Heisman finalist. All right, let's reel it back. If we get Ashton Genty, is he going to actually do anything? Is he going to be able to run behind our offensive line? Is he going to fit in our system? We have Bo Nix. And Bo Nix, like Sean Payton wants to open the offense up for Bo Nix. Okay, well, if you draft Ashton Genty, you can't have the best of both worlds there, man. Like, either open it up and have him fucking fling the ball all over the place, or we turn around and let Ashton Genty plow through everybody. Again, do you need a running back? 100%. But do I think you need a first round running back? I think there's bigger holes, there are bigger issues, especially offensively, as people are starting to age, that they could fill. Because defensively, those two signings were huge. I know why they like that's spot on why they did it. Was like, hey, now we don't have to waste draft picks here, and we have two guys that are solid and they've proven they can be good. Hopefully, they are good. Especially if after being hurt. Same thing with Dre Greenlaw, but um, that's why they did that. I completely agree. Another guy that I see, um, your defensive tackle, we're talking about Kenneth Grant, wouldn't be terrible. If they took him in the first round, that wouldn't be terrible. Up front, Ethan, I know we've said this before. Like up front, defensively, they're cheeks, completely cheeks.
Put the film on from the playoff game last year against Buffalo.
Mhm,
Denver's linebackers are here. Denver's D line is pretty much equal to that, and the Bills O line is up at the linebackers. That's not what you want to have happen.
Yeah, they like that wouldn't be. If they took a guy like that, there. Granted, it's just one guy, but it's a start, and having that would be huge. I don't
Even,
mind that.
even if he's not a starter, just a depth piece.
Yeah, and I mean, going through the rounds here, I mean, honestly, I would say they got to go defense. Outside of the first round, like in the first round, maybe grab an offensive guy, but after that, you got to go defense. You have to build that defense back up. I mean, when the Broncos won the Super Bowl, what won them the Super Bowl? Their defense. Even when they were winning in the '90s, I mean, they didn't have an amazing defense, but they had a good defense. So I don't know where that translation is getting. And then like if they were really good with these no name fuckheads, imagine if they had people like fuckheads we knew. Imagine if they were like on the map football players and not just like some random dude selling cell phones and kiosks in Denver. Like that's where it's kind of getting with the Vance Joseph. Apparently, like he's showing that he can coach a defense. So like, why don't we get some people in there to complement that? One, I see here that second or third round, depending on how far he falls, Elijah Arroyo, tight end, going to Denver. The only thing with Elijah Arroyo is he is primarily a pass catcher. That was kind of his role at Miami, although he didn't really touch the ball a lot, but he's a pass catching tight end. In that offense, you're going to have to be able to block. I mean, it's a very like the he says it's a spread, but it reminds me of like that old style like pro style offense. You got to be able to block. The way they run the balls from under centers, play action from under center. Well, a lot of play actions, your tight end isn't just going to release right away because then that's a free runner. So, I mean, you're gonna have to be able to chip and block, and you're gonna have to be able to put your hands on people. And I don't know if Elijah Arroyo can do that. I mean, ACC football is also kind of like toilet compared to the Big Two, the Power Two. So, being the Miami fan, I'd be all over it. But logistically wise, I'd be like, because that's the thing. Your guy from Michigan, primarily running offense, he can obviously block. I mean, that was his job for the entire time he was there. Was to stand up, get in a 3-point stand up, and put his hands on people. So he wouldn't be, a terrible pick to me. But I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers try and trade up and get Colston Loveland. I mean, that screams Jim Harbaugh. That's his guy, and they could use a tight end as well.
Mhm.
But I think if they can, I think my steal of the draft for Denver, if they can get Nick Emmanwori from South Carolina, I think he's potentially one of the biggest steals of the draft. This guy's 6'3", 220, ranked first among safeties in athletics and production. Ran a 4.3 840 with a 43-inch vert. And I've watched some film on him at South Carolina. You can put him out 1-on-1. You could put him in the box. I think he would dominate in the box and even playing a little maybe middle linebacker. But this guy is, I think he's a day one guy. And as much as I would see, they need a tight end obviously, but if you get a guy like this, I think he could be a huge steal. I don't know if he'll fall all the way down to, I think they're 22,
20.
24, 20. I think they potentially get him, but I wouldn't hate Colston Loveland. I mean, he's the type of guy he's like a John Gruden type guy.
Oh yeah.
Like if you weren't blocking for John Gruden, you weren't playing for him.
Well,
That's why he loves Brock Bowers. Like
But that's the
I don't
thing,
know.
like I'm not a big John Gruden fan, but his take on tight ends, he's like, you're tight off the end of the line of scrimmage. That's why you're called a tight end. And
Yep.
on a running play, you have nothing else to do. Like you're an extra
Yeah.
lineman. You have to be able to put your hands on someone and block. And even then, like even on like a pass play, like the ones where I mean, if you think unless you're running a tight end screen, I mean the screen play is huge right now in the game. There's one of your lead blockers downfield as a tight end. So you have to be able to block as a tight end. I mean, it just is what it is. If you are strictly, I mean, even Shannon Sharp, who was like basically a wide receiver on the end of the line of scrimmage, he could stand up and block. He could block. He was physical. And I mean, he even knew he had to do that. And that's where, like I said, I'm not a big John Gruden guy, but I do agree with that. Like you are the tight end off the line of, you're lined up tight off the end of the line of scrimmage, hence the name, and you're an extra lineman. And I mean,
What
how many, look, when you go to football practices, you hear all the tight ends bitching all the time. Why do I have to go over the fucking lineman? Dude, because you are. You're just a fucking skinnier, athletic guy, a lineman that has hands. You got to be able to do that stuff too. And also, like, as a rookie coming in fighting for, playing time, if you're one of those dudes that shows that you can do that, I mean, shit, if you can come in and do the unpleasant shit, you're going to find your way on the field. If you come in, you're a one trick pony, like, oh, well, sorry, coach, I'm a pass catcher. Be like, really?
Travis Kelsey?
Yeah, yeah, like really? Oh, you're a pass catcher. Nice. Well, we're not going to play you because that means if you go in, that means it's very predictable what's happening. You're going to go out on a route. And two, I mean, Ethan, this is one of those things where it's, you talked about the guy not wanting to watch film. Fucking, you don't want to do 50% of your job because, like, it's a 50-50 thing. It's no different than, like, running backs. Running backs got to block, too. I would say it's more of, like, an 80-20 there. Run the ball, catch the ball, then block for 20%. But look at the running backs that through the time, even when we played, the guys that were physical that wanted to like get in, like on a pass play that would take on that blitzing linebacker, always found their way on the field somehow because
Yeah.
they're willing to do that. So I think that if they're going to get it, that's where I think they fall short with Elijah Arroyo. I mean, I don't know if he would necessarily be a guy that would be a blocker, but
I compare him to Jimmy Graham, not just because they both went to the same school, but just how they play.
mm,
Yeah, I had this, just one last point. We can talk about this another day. I had this discussion at work with a coworker, and we were talking about the best tight ends of all time. He goes, I just think it's Travis Kelsey. I think he's the amount of yards he puts up. And I'm like,
Shannon Sharp.
Travis Kelsey is a glorified wide receiver. That's all he is. You want to talk about and I know you don't like John Gruden, but he says, and I agree, Gronk is the best tight end of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, Gronk was willing to get down and fucking dirty. Like he talks about it. He fucking loves just getting. He said he loves getting physical with guys, whatever that means. But
Whoa.
that's what he says. Gronk has that good type of CTE. But yeah, I
Gronk,
would.
Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, Shannon Sharp,
Oh, yeah.
like those are like the tight ends right there.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
My last point here on the Broncos before we move on to our newest segment, Air It Out. Uh, Wide receiver from Arizona that I don't think they should waste a first round pick on. Terodio McMillan, I just don't.
His comment alone, I think, would be enough for a lot of teams to be like, go away, get away from me.
So I think what he was
You don't want
trying
to
to
work.
say was like, this is what I don't get about guys, right? Like they come out there and they say stuff where it's like they're trying to like portray something what they're not. Like I don't need to watch film because I can just like judge it off. Like he was probably trying to like have something like that. But I'm like, bro, when you just straight up said that, like, hey, I don't watch film, I don't care what you say after that. Football is 100% watching film. That's how you know what your team's gonna
Preparation.
do. Tom Brady said it. I knew what the Chiefs were doing before they snapped the ball because I watched film in that Super Bowl. Peyton Manning, known as the Mr. Over Prepare for every big game, he just lived watching film before every big game because how else are you going to figure, well, probably before every game, because how else are you going to figure out what the other team's doing? Dude, you're a wide receiver. Like at that point, you're getting, at that point in like the level of play, you're not even looking to, like, people are gonna have like little tells. Oh, when their foot's like that, they're not gonna jam me. Or oh, their feet are offset now, so now this is where they disguise their jam and he falls back. Those are the little nuances that you're looking for, because now it's gonna dictate how you run your route. If I'm getting jammed, then I know I gotta run a quick fucking 3 yards and in. If I'm running a drag, if I'm getting jammed, I know I'm probably not getting the ball, because that's a quick fucking throw. And if this dude's feet are that way, maybe I'm signaling to the quarterback, like, dude, hey, if I'm your first read, you better fucking lock in, because I'm getting jammed right here. So I'm gonna have to fight through this. Like, that's what you're looking for. And if you're like, I'm just gonna go out there like it's backyard football, the turkey bowl, and just play. And then like a guy like Sean Payton, who's very old school, he's gonna look at you and be like, "You're dumb. Like, shut up. Get in the fucking film room with Cortland Sutton and the rest of the wide receiver guys and start watching film."
You're playing against people's jobs. It is to play defensive back.
Mhm.
That is their job, and they will do it very well. So
I mean, the age-old term, dude. Like, you play in college, especially in Arizona, the Big 12. You're playing against maybe three. I mean, I would say out of everybody that year that he played against Travis Hunter. Oh, I would say maybe two other teams maybe had a guy that's going to be in this year's NFL draft or in a future. Now every week you're playing against an NFL guy, and
you
they're
remember what Coach Olson said in high school, Sean?
and I
Preparation.
oh yeah, and I promise you that those defensive backs are watching film on you and know your tells. And when you stand a certain way, or your hands are a certain way, or the way you turn your head, they're watching that, and they're gonna eat you alive, especially the good ones. But now we're going to move into our next segment to close out the show here. So we are the Air Raid podcast. What do you do in the Air Raid offense? You air it out. So this segment is it's kind of like a grind my gears, something that just pisses you off. So I'll go first, and then Adam, and then Ethan will round and we'll close out the show. So I'm going to start with mine. Is I watched a big boy, an Ohio State lineman, one of your guys, running a 40, gets hurt at his pro day. Why don't we start making specific events for specific players? The quarterbacks have it optional to do the bench press. Jay Cutler said, screw it, I'll do it, and bench press the most out of any quarterback. It was optional because, all right, let me go throw my shoulder out before I go throw a football. Makes sense. But why? Why do we have a dude that's I think he was like 6'6", 300 pounds, dead sprint in a 40? If you're fast as you ran a 4.4 as a left tackle, I'm still not giving you the football. You're a left tackle. I mean, I don't get that. I think there needs to be for the 40, right? I think, like you said with Travis Hunter, yeah, I could definitely relate that. From a dead stop, can you turn and run someone down? I mean, that's pretty legit, especially as a corner. If you get burned off the line of scrimmage, you try to jam, you get burned. Can you turn and sprint and run that dude down? Cool. You can start seeing open field speed if there's your guys that are like your John Ross, your Chris Johnson's back in the day. All right, that dude is fast. If he gets into the open field, like we might have something here. But like a defensive lineman, an offensive tackle, a fucking center, bro, who cares what your 40 is? Like, oh, his draft stock's gonna fall, bro. He plays left tackle. Did you think he was gonna run anything lower than a fucking 5'2"? The guy's 6'6", 300 pounds. I don't think he's ever sprinted 40 yards in his football career during a game. Maybe after a touchdown when he went running to celebrate. But that's my biggest thing. Like this, I don't know, whatever. I'll have to look into it. I couldn't find what happened to him. But let's say he blows his knee out. That's what's going to hurt his draft stock, not his fucking 40 time. And this guy, again, like I'd be sitting in the doctor like, yo, I'm 6'6", fucking, like what happened? Well, I'm 6'6", 320 pounds, and I took off sprinting, doctor. What do you think happened? I blew up. My body can't handle that. So I think we start having specific and start putting more weight on these position specific like drills and things like that, where it's like, can you move your feet laterally? The shuttle run for linemen, that's huge. Lateral movement, quick feet. Can you move laterally? That's a huge one. I like that drill a lot for a lot of positions. It's short, quick
No drill.
bursts. Football's a short, quick burst sport. So Adam, I'll toss it over to you for your air it out. That is mine. Position specific drills, and for fuck's sake, if you're 6'6", 2 fucking billion pounds, and you're like, I'm not running the 40, I'd be like, dude, I understand. I get it. Let's see you do some fucking legit shit now.
I would say that just a quick piggyback off your point. I'm really surprised just altogether the draft doesn't just get, or not the draft, but the combine. They just don't get rid of the combine and it just goes to pro days.
Mm-hmm.
Each conference has a pro day now, and most players have their own pro day.
Mm-hmm.
So and honestly, if we're talking about the combine, maybe you move up or down 2 or 3 picks, but you're not jumping from the middle of the second round to a mid first round pick. That's just all your film is on tape. You're not moving up very much from the combine. So yeah, I definitely agree. Mine is also kind of a hot take. I had this, I have a lot of discussions at work, but I think Antonio Brown is at minimum top 10 wide receiver of all time. I think personally for me, he can creep into the top 5. Obviously, you have your Jerry Rice, your Megatron, your Randy Moss, and your T.O. You could throw Larry Fitz in there. You could throw Marvin Harrison. You could throw a number of guys. Antonio Brown has had, in my opinion, the best stretch of any wide receiver in NFL history. 6 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 years of 1,500, 1,700, 18, 13, 15, and 13. And these are all years of, I've got touchdowns, 8, 13, 10, 12, 10, 15. And over those 6 years, he led the league twice in receptions and yards and the league in touchdowns. So I think, unfortunately for Antonio Brown and his demise and, with the Patriots and in Tampa Bay, I kind of cast a shadow on Antonio Brown. I mean, if we're talking realistically, Antonio Brown's a Hall of Famer. He is a Hall of Fame receiver, has the best stretch of any receiver entirety in the NFL. The dude was unstoppable. I mean, he was just an absolute menace on the field, punting Browns punters in the face with his cleats. But I don't know. And my brother talks about this a lot because my brother's a huge Steelers fan. If he could have continued his career, after the Killer Bees broke up and he went to New England, I don't think he ever played. I think he was with the Raiders, didn't ever play a game with the Raiders, and then obviously went to Tampa Bay with Tom. But I think he at least has to be, in my opinion, he's in my top 10. And I think, unfortunately, for the shadow that's been casted at his end of career, where he just went absolutely insane and the CTE got to him, he'll never sniff the Hall of Fame. He'll never sniff people's top 10s just because what amounted at the end of his career.
Spot on. I agree. I think he's a great wide receiver. I think he was, granted, he froze. He fucking put his feet in Krypton, or what's that shit in Star Wars?
I know
Um,
what you're talking about.
fucking
Yeah.
Han soloed his goddamn feet. But yeah, I agree. I agree. Ethan,
Yeah.
what's your air it out take this week?
So the first one I'm going to piggyback. Sorry, it's just I'm piggybacking off what Sean said, and then I have mine. The 40 time. So positions where it matters. Restrepo didn't run that great of a 40, but he was a really good receiver, and I could see him being a solid like Wes Welker-esque. Not saying as good as Wes Welker, but like a good slot receiver. He was a great route runner, Sean, at Miami. That's what made him good. Is his ability to run routes, be light on his feet, and catch the pass. I think he's probably better than Braxton Berrios was. Sean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I've only ever seen highlights of Berrios at Miami, but I think he was better. I'm just basing it off of like seeing, I watched Restrepo and then I've only seen highlights because that was in the time when I didn't really watch that much college football. I don't like how they're considering that, but then they like you watch his route running and his cone drill and everything, and like watching him catch, like the dude's fine. Apparently, he's good watching film. He's good like at picking up on defenses and stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna go over to the college side. Both of you guys kind of hit on NFL things a little bit. I don't like how NIL and transfer portal and combining them into one are kind of ruining football. No, don't get me wrong. I do like the transfer portal. There is good to it, but you hear about guys who like start at quarterback one place one year and then they leave and go somewhere else. It's like you got yourself a starting job. Well, I want to go somewhere to make more money or I want to improve my draft stock. Then just play better. That's my thought process on that. I mean, you you want to do better than or you want to have better results at the end of the day, well then play better. If you're at a smaller school, when you play against a bigger school, put up the numbers. I'll even say this, Genty in the playoffs, yeah, he had like 30 carries, but he ran for over 100 yards. That's good. That's good numbers for a running back. I'm not going to be one of those people saying, "Well, it took him 30 carries to get there." Dude, put in the work, put in the time, and look at now. Genty's probably going to be a first round pick. I mean, I don't know. It drives me up a wall. You watch a bowl game and teams are depleted. I mean, it's stuff like that just drives me up a wall. I think there needs to be a limit on it. We can get into that in the coming weeks here. Jesus Christ, falling apart here. I think there needs to be a limit on how many times you can transfer and when you're at minimum when you can transfer. I think the NIL. Jesus, we're falling apart here.
Boomer.
There needs to be a salary cap on teams too. So again, I'm not saying it shouldn't be there. It's just there should be a limit.
Oh yeah,
Well, look what it's done to college basketball. I mean, you have
I can't even watch it anymore.
You've got all number one seeds in the Final Four, the first time since 08, I think. So the Cinderellas are dead. There's no more Chicago, Loyola, whatever, from like 4 years. It's not happening.
I haven't followed college basketball since I like Duke. I'm a Duke fan, and I haven't followed college basketball. Yeah, I haven't followed college basketball since 2015. So, yeah, I think even
football isn't as bad as basketball because in basketball an entire team could transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Football, you'll at least still have those some guys that'll maybe stick around. They were backups and they work their way into a starting role, or you may have like your left tackle and your right guard might stay on your offense, and then some of your receivers and your running back. Like you might still have that. Like I said, basketball, it's everybody leaves, even your bench.
I think that I think we'll get into the NIL because in our next episode will be our spring ball breakdown and what because I mean like me being a Miami Hurricanes fan, the transfer portal is like where they live. So, um, the live by the gun, die by the gun, and that's unfortunately what the transfer portal is. But I mean that's awesome. I think that's a good take. I agree. Adam, your take too. That's a good. I think Antonio Brown needs to be in a decent amount of discussion with some of those grades just because of what he accomplished. And yeah, no more fucking 6'6", 350-pound motherfuckers running a 40, dude. I don't need any more.
I'll put it to you this way, man. I'm 6'1", 306. I can run and I can still sprint, but like, no.
Mm. Well, that's gonna wrap up this first episode here. I think it was a good one to get back in. Stretch the legs out. New platform. We'll put it on TikTok. We're gonna put it on YouTube here. Any closing thoughts?
See me eat my sandwich. It was good, by the way.
There you go. Not sponsored. Not a sponsor.
That's why you didn't see the wrapper.
Adam, any closing thoughts before we round it out here?
And man, it's good to be back. I've been itching to get back here and talk with you boys. So yeah, just follow the TikTok brand redesign. We fresh off the press just got a brand new logo for the boys. Catch us on YouTube. Hopefully we'll try and get to Spotify if we get everything worked out. But yeah, just hopefully we'll make this, especially once the season starts. We'll probably be back to once a week. It might be a little bit slower tempo just because we're in the off season, but yeah, things will start picking up for us.
Little preview too. We are all three of us in different time zones, so we'll try to record once a week. But if there is something break or whatever for a week or two, it's the times we're all working on. So we'll get the content there for you people.
Aren't you in the same time? I thought you're Central. Are you Mountain?
I'm Central.
Yeah, I'm Central.
Well, disregard. Sean's on the other side of the world then.
Yeah,
there you go. From an undisclosed location.
I'm Pacifico time zone, way out west, and then right now, fucking undisclosed. But I'm in hiding right now. But we'll catch you guys next well, next time. Hopefully it is next week. But the preview will be college football, so we'll start digging in for Miami, Ohio State,
Mm.
and seeing what how people are starting to look out. So it was good seeing you boys. It's good to get back on, and we're gonna catch you guys next time.
See you.